Hey guys, today I'm here with Jennifer Duclair. She's a top tier law graduate. She's actually an Army veteran. Were you ever deployed anywhere? Did you serve anywhere overseas or anything like that in the Army?
Thankfully, I did get to go to Germany and I spent a lot of time doing work stateside in the legal department, helping soldiers have their affairs in order to go overseas.
Well, that's really great. Thank you so much for your service. That's awesome. She's also a real estate investor, a certified life coach, and a mom. And I think the mom part, that's probably like the strongest qualification you have because moms are amazing. My wife's a
Thank you.
stay-at-home mom, and I could not
Mhm.
do what she does.
Mhm.
It's amazing. She enjoys helping bar takers feel good about bar study, which that sounds like
Mhm.
an oxymoron, right? Because bar study, feel good, those two don't typically go together. And the way she does that is she helps them have mental clarity, perfect their learning, retention, and recall. So they ultimately pass the bar, and they do so with a healthy mindset. She coaches people. She believes in that your mindset is just a crucial component of bar preparation, right? Because you just can
Mhm.
freak yourself out on the bar exam. It's
Mhm.
so stressful, and anxiety does not help performance. So she helps
Right.
folks work through that, right? And she's been invited to spread her mindset message in bar association and law school sponsored events across her home state, which is Florida. By the way, how's the weather down there?
It is beautiful. I love it. 70s.
Oh, okay. I could go for some 70s. We've had lots of snow and rain, and it's been
Oh,
pretty cold, but it's all right. We're gonna go skiing tomorrow, so that'll be fun.
fun.
Yeah. So she's passionate about um, the opportunities she's had to teach aspiring attorneys. So we invited her on to our Crushendo channel just to chat a little bit about mindset, help you be a little bit more healthy as you approach the bar exam. And so, first and foremost, I just want to start really simple, Jennifer. What is mind and mindset to you? What do those words mean?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me here, Adam. And I am very passionate about helping you understand, yes, those terms, mindset, when it comes to the bar exam. Simply put, it's the way that you are going to approach the bar exam in your life, in your thought patterns, and all those will be affecting your emotions. So when we talk about the mindset, we're speaking about essentially your mental and emotional environment around the bar exam this time.
So is it like the difference between being optimistic and pessimistic, cynical and hopeful? I mean, what are some ways that you can describe how people's mindset can be at different stages?
Awesome. Thank you for asking that question. It does approach it. It's a little bit deeper than pessimism versus optimism because oftentimes the reason why we are pessimistic is hidden. And this is the part that we get really deeply into. For example, somebody who has never experienced failure in their life before, they're not just approaching the bar exam as something I must pass in order to get my license. They're also approaching it as the one thing that could break my success streak.
Hmm.
Right. And oftentimes we don't know where those extra pressures are really coming from. Some people may have this idea that if they say no to parents and friends and other supporters so that they can focus on the bar exam, that they might lose that love and support permanently, right? And so even though logically, when we think it through, that isn't quite the case, the reason why it's hard to remain optimistic is because there are a lot of emotional based fears that, yes, logically aren't true, but they're still driving us nonetheless, unless we identify them, expose them, and correct them.
So it can become kind of like an end of the world type scenario where it's like
Exactly.
pass or else, right? And it
Yes,
doesn't have to be that.
exactly.
You have to approach it like, it's actually okay to fail.
Right.
And if you get to that space, you're actually more likely to succeed.
That's
Um,
exactly right.
so what actually inspired you to do the work that you're doing? Why is this your passion? Why do you go to law schools and talk about this?
I am passionate about this because, one, we have made such a great investment into this career path, and it is a travesty to not be able to pass the bar exam hurdle, this one last little qualification step that we need to take in order to grab a hold of the career that we've been working on all this time. It's a travesty, right? But more importantly, the solution is so simple. It's just that it's overlooked. And it's not widely spoken about. This whole mindset is 80% of any effort that you're going to jump into. If your mind is there on track, if you're in the flow, all the actions come in quite easily after that, right? But we don't talk about that in law school. In fact, in order to get through law school well, you have to be pessimistic, cynical, look for all the problems.
Oh, you don't have to be, but it's easy to become those things, right? And I get that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so the passion that I have for it is simply that a very little known but easy thing to do could spell all the difference for your next couple of years of life.
Are you going to let us see behind the curtain at all, like what that secret ingredient is, or is that how you make your money?
Well, it's mindset, right?
Oh, okay. So
And
that's
a person could probably see all the videos on my YouTube channel or my video page and like learn all the outside stuff. And if you're one who can read and listen and then apply it to your life all by yourself, that's great. But most of the time, it's really hard to read the jar label from inside the jar,
I
right?
see what you're saying. Yeah. So as a coach, you just help people walk through it and apply it. And I could see how that
Exactly.
could be very helpful. It's hard to see the label from the inside of the jar, is what
Yes.
you said. I like
Yeah.
that metaphor, right? You get kind of in this little box and you need an outside perspective to walk you through how to get out and be more healthy. So that's awesome that you do that. I imagine you've worked with many clients. Do you
Mhm.
have a favorite client or client experience that you've had?
Mhm. Let's see. I do recall one client who is a joy to work with, and she'd taken the bar a few times. She's very, very smart. So there was really no reason why it should be a problem for her, except that there were hidden things that just were always a part of her life and her
Wait, so
culture.
are you saying like you could be smart and fail the bar exam? I'm just kidding. It happens all the time, right? Because people psych themselves out. So she's brilliant, psyched herself out.
Yes, and it was so interesting when we finally hit what it was, right? And there's usually one big, humongous thing that's holding 80% of the power that's holding a person back from passing. When we hit what it was, she just had this, oh my, really?
What was it? I'm just curious. What was it? Was she not eating the right cereal in the morning for breakfast? I mean, what's the problem?
In her case, she was faltering with the multiple choice questions and getting it all done in time, which is a common issue, right? What's not so common is the knowledge that it's a self-confidence thing.
Hmm.
It's a lack of self-trust.
Okay.
Now that's an entry to what the answer is. However, what's the source of your lack of self-trust? That's the thing we need to go on an expedition, search for. So with this young lady, it just so happened that there was this habit from being young where her parents learned things a certain way by example. She learned things a different way. So learning methodology comes into play here, right?
Uh-huh.
And she grew up with the frustration of people who couldn't understand why she couldn't just get it when we demonstrate. Demonstration is the way to learn, right? She doesn't learn by demonstration. She learns by reading, right?
Ah.
And
Yeah,
if you
so
don't know
she's a
that,
mastery type learner. I know there's different buckets people get lumped into. You've got auditory, you've got
yes,
mastery type learners, you've got all
yes,
sorts of, and it's good to be aware of what type of learner you are. So
exactly,
she was more of a
exactly.
mastery reading type learner.
Right, right.
And I
And
see.
so she picked up the habit of actually, after we've grown up and we've like learned our parents' way of speaking to us, we often just put that on repeat and speak to ourselves that way, right? And
Mhm.
we forget about it. It's just so automatic. And what was happening is that each time as she was answering her questions, she was afraid to get it wrong because if she did, there was that voice in the back of her head. And that voice was actually more painful than just getting it wrong.
Huh. Interesting.
So once we discovered, okay, there was this certain way of self-talk that occurs every time you find that you've gotten the answer wrong, we were actually able to help her eliminate it. And it was a very simple response. It was just don't do it. Just skip it. Just skip the self-flagellation. Just skip it. And she did. She just says, whenever I heard myself doing it, I just like, oh, just skip it. and she just moved on. She
Skip it,
started
huh?
answering her multiple choice questions so quickly because she was no longer afraid of the self-flagellation that comes
Uh-huh.
from getting it wrong.
What if, I mean, that sounds like it takes a lot of mental discipline, right? To push aside those negative voices in an intense situation. I mean, are there things you can do to practice skipping it, or to replace it with something that will actually benefit you positively, whether it's, you know, an affirmation? I don't know, but do you have any techniques that can help people who want to skip it but are struggling with that?
I love that question. Thank you for posing it, Adam. It is true. A lot of the things that we do to ourselves that are not beneficial are locked in emotionally. If we were able to just stop doing it, we would have already stopped doing it, right? So the way that I work, that's where my work comes in. Is the way that I work is that I lead the bar taker through the series of emotional steps that had locked that pattern in, and I lead them backwards through it to unlock it.
Hmm.
The emotions locked it in because when you're 3 years old, 4 years old, 5 years old, and you're being chastised for not being able to learn how to do something, there's an emotion that goes with that. The emotion locks in the pattern of talking to yourself that way, thinking that talking to yourself that way will finally get you to get it right, right? And so the emotion that locks that in must be addressed in order to unlock it. And that's why people find it so difficult to just stop doing it, because they haven't addressed the emotion that locked in the pattern yet. And that's where my work comes in. Positive affirmations, meditation, all those things are great after you've unlocked the emotion. But if you haven't gotten to the root, the source of this pattern, then it will be more like taking, migraine medicine every day for, something that's, needs surgery. You
Yeah.
understand?
You got to get the tumor out before you work on rehab, right?
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly. Yeah. I don't know. I think that's a good point. You know, not everybody gets a bar exam mentor. I didn't have one. There, you know, there's
Mhm,
different ways to approach the bar exam. I
mhm,
certainly don't think mentoring would harm anyone, right? It's
mhm,
always good to have a
mhm,
friend, and I
mhm,
think that support system could be good. But you know,
mhm,
for financial reasons or whatever, not everybody's going to do it.
mhm,
But for those that are considering bar exam mentoring, what
mhm,
are some common misconceptions maybe that they
mhm,
might have as they explore those
mhm.
options?
Well, for one, the first misconception would be that they don't have time to do it,
Uh-huh.
right?
Sure. Yeah, that
So
was they don't have time to do anything. Don't have time to eat, don't have time to sleep, right?
what I found is that bar exam mentoring, when people either join our group program or the one-on-one program, it's 1 hour a week where they're actually having talk time or FaceTime. And then after that, it's the prescribed 10 minutes minimum a day for meditation. And I record special meditations to help them through, what we're working on. And so what many of my clients are currently reporting to me as they prepare for this next bar exam is that whenever I skip the meditation, I spend so many hours just being frantic,
Hmm.
or just like going over the same thing 5 times, or it the work that that you do in mentoring, the 1 hour and 10 minutes, that saves you so much time,
Yeah.
right? One person was able to ask for the help that she needed with her family responsibilities, and it bought herself a couple of more hours per day. That's off of just 1 hour a week of talking, right?
Yeah.
So you gain time. That's one misconception. The second one
I just
would
got to
be,
interrupt you real quick because I
yes.
am so passionate about this idea that, um, you know, often more means more and less means less. So if you're strapped for time, you like shave off, you simplify,
Mhm,
right?
mhm,
But I believe there are also things that are like multiplying mores that
mhm,
energize you, increase your perspective, your capacity. And
mhm,
so making sure you center yourself and do some kind of meditation, or just, you know, maybe it's going to the gym, maybe it's going to hike. There's so many different ways to kind of rein yourself in, but you got to
mhm,
get yourself to a good place. And
mhm,
if you can do that, I mean, it's going to make you more efficient as the day goes on. and
Mm-hmm.
save you time ultimately, which is crazy because you're doing more with less time. But that's just how we work, right? We get ourselves
Yes.
into a rut, and we get in like the hamster wheel of negative
Mm-hmm.
thinking, and we
Mm-hmm.
accomplish nothing. Or we just stare at one question that's ticked us off, and we don't have the perspective to just move on and look at something else. It's something
Yeah.
that I've been worried about as I've worked with students too, that have
Mm-hmm.
reached out to us, that have, questions about the stuff that they're doing, studying. And sometimes they can just get like so myopic, they're just looking tunnel vision on a little thing, and they need to step back and just take a deep breath. So
Yeah.
I'm really grateful that there's folks like you out there that are helping people get out of those ruts, helping people see the benefits of
Mm-hmm.
those positive mindset approaches, even though they take a little bit of time away from you. So sorry, I interrupted you there. So we're talking about things that people misunderstand. What are some of the other
Mm-hmm.
things you were going to mention before I just
Yes.
rudely jumped
Oh, no, it was a good interjection. The second thing that is really important for people to understand is that it's not just about the bar exam. Chances are, if you are this way around the bar exam, then it's affecting you in other areas of your life too. So mindset work, because of the bar exam is the thing that makes it necessary to do this mindset work. Well, this is actually an open door to a better life overall. The changes that people make in preparation for the bar exam through their mindset work elevates the quality of their life across the board, be it family relationships, future job opportunities, or their own ability to see themselves practicing as an attorney.
Well, and the data clearly shows, right? Being an attorney is a crazy hard mental and emotional thing to do,
Yeah.
right? The rates of depression,
Mm-hmm.
alcoholism, all of these
Mm-hmm.
negative kind of just soul sucking things plague attorneys. I mean, it's
Yes.
too bad, right? And so, have you maintained contact with some of your clients that have gone through and passed the bar and are now attorneys? Are you seeing them? Using those same tools, staying positive, thriving, hopefully. How is
Mm-hmm.
that going?
Mm-hmm. As a matter of fact, a few clients who have already become attorneys have come back and said, I want more mindset coaching, because they were able to apply for jobs that they would have never applied for before. They were able to climb the ranks a little bit faster than they would have before. They were able to set boundaries with clients and to make requests of their employers and do all sorts of things that made their life better. And they like it.
Hmm.
And they say, I've knocked out my 5-year goal in 2.5 years. I want more. Right?
Cool.
Yes, this is the benefit of changing your mind, right?
Yeah.
And so it's one of those things where, yes, it's a lifelong impact, and your goals are knocked out that much faster.
All right. So, it's having benefits for people who are attorneys, right?
Mm-hmm.
Lifelong benefits, hopefully. I mean, it's on their shoulders, right? Whether or not they're going to keep doing it, applying
Mm-hmm.
it,
Mm-hmm.
and hopefully they don't just do it for a season, fizzle out and go back to their
Well, can I
bad.
interrupt you right there,
Yeah,
just for a second?
sure.
The work that we do changes your mind, and once you see something and realize it, you can't unsee it.
Hmm.
So the benefits are actually permanent. There's no, let's say, daily maintenance regimen.
Hmm.
Once you realize, oh, this was a lie that I swallowed when I was a child, you can't unknow that,
Yeah.
right? So it's
No,
one of those permanent benefit things. It's a lifetime investment sort of thing. Like, you get the rewards for life.
all right, well, that's good. Well, you sold that well.
Oh.
Um, so let's talk about the other side of the spectrum, right? Like we've got people that may be watching this who are not in law school yet, or maybe they're 1L, 2L, 3L.
Okay.
They might have some trepidation about the bar exam because it's always kind of looming in the future if they go the
Yes.
attorney path, right? And what are some things that they could do right now, regardless of where they are, to start um, having a better mindset?
So what I would suggest is, at this time, you actually have the space and the leisure to YouTube search some videos about positive mindset and motivation and paying attention to your feelings and things like that, because this is the kind of knowledge that a lot of people think is optional.
Mm-hmm.
They don't realize
Yeah, it
it's
just sounds so fluffy, right? Like,
right.
I gotta be weak if I need that, right? I'm not weak. I'm a strong
Mm-hmm.
person, right? Why would I
Mm-hmm.
need something so, I don't know,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
fluffy? Yeah.
that is often the misconception. You see, 80% of everything that we get done is getting done inside mental preparation, emotional fortitude. Because what you'll find is that if you can push, push, push and gain your goal, you have to really, really struggle to hold on to it. But if you are already the person who has that goal, which means you've transformed mentally from the mind of a undergrad into the mind of a law student, you've transformed mentally from the mind of just a student to the mind of someone who is succeeding in mock trial and this or that, whatever your goals are. When you are mentally that person already, then all the actions naturally flow. But if you are not already in that mental space, you will always have to push, 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 push to force yourself to do things that you really don't want to do, right? So it
Yeah.
takes place up here first.
Well, sure. I mean, I grew up loving baseball. I coached
Mm.
baseball, right? And ever
Mhm.
since I was a kid, they've always said it's 90% mental and 10% physical, right?
Right.
And so much of our performance in non-athletic
Mhm.
context is
Mhm.
similar, right? It's,
Mhm.
I mean, obviously it's mental because you're thinking through and, you know, using your
Mhm.
logic and reasoning powers, but it's mental in the mindset, emotional way too,
Yes.
which often gets overlooked, hence your quest, your passion. And so what you're doing is awesome. So I've got one more question for you. It's kind of a weird one, but,
Okay.
you know, say I'm taking the bar exam again.
Mhm.
Hope to never do that. I think I
Mhm.
probably won't. I'm content with the current bar licenses I have. You know, the bar exam is not particularly a joyride, though it can be improved. You know, how we experience it. And my own bar prep experience wasn't a complete train wreck, and you know, it was a positive thing for me overall. But if I had you for just one session as a mentor, and I should just ask you one question, you know, to have the greatest impact on me and my bar prep, what question should I ask you? Does that question make any sense?
That question does make sense, and it's really fun that you address that one session, because I do have a thing like that where it's just one session and we go to the one big hairy scary thing that needs to be resolved in order for you to be free. And if you talk with me for, let's say, 15-20 minutes, I can usually pinpoint exactly what that one big thing is.
Mm.
So all you need to ask is, what is the one big thing I'm not seeing?
Oh, I like it. What's the one big thing I'm not seeing? Okay.
Right.
What's
You
my
can't
blind
see the
spot, right?
label.
What's,
Exactly. You can't see the label from inside the jar,
uh-huh.
right? So just ask, and really, anybody who's a couple ahead of steps of you in the game can talk to you, kind of see where you may be going wrong. You could probably ask that question to a number of more seasoned people in the legal field.
Or, you
And
know, people you trust,
right,
your spouse, maybe your
right.
friends, your family, right?
Right.
What am I missing here? What's that? But
Mm-hmm.
it's probably takes some humility to
Mm-hmm.
to hear that answer or to
Mm-hmm.
seek out that answer too,
Mm-hmm.
because I think the last thing we as attorneys or aspiring attorneys wants to do is acknowledge our own incompetence. And
Mm-hmm.
incompetence about ourselves is, I mean,
Mhm.
I don't even have self-awareness. You know what I mean? Like I don't even
Mhm.
know my own
Mm.
weaknesses, the elephant in the room that's holding me back. That
Yeah.
would take a great deal of humility, right?
Yes.
To
Yes, it
acknowledge,
does.
okay, there is something holding me back. I want to know what it is. I want to address it
Yes.
and do something about it. I don't want to.
Yeah. So we focus on the things that will affect you when it comes to your performance on the bar exam, because your mind, your heart, your social life, your family life is not in order, right?
Yeah.
There are some things that are going on that we thought was just the way that it is, like, my inability to say no, or my dependence on other people's approval, or we know those things exist, but we haven't quite calculated how much they will impact our bar exam performance, right? And how do you resolve that struggle between saying no and being scared that I'll lose love, right? Or how do I, that struggle with self-confidence. The main difference when you work with someone who's trained to help you in mindset is that once we identify what that issue is, we can also resolve it within that session.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's get it done quick.
Yeah. Well, I know I said that was my last question, but another question
Okay.
popped in my head that I want to
Sure.
ask, and it just has to do with mental illness, right? There are
Mhm.
sometimes things that need medical attention. I don't know
Mhm.
if you've come across that in the folks you coach. There may be a misconception too that if I need mindset coaching, I must have some kind of mental illness where, it could apply and benefit everybody is what it sounds like.
Yes.
But how do you as a mentor
Mhm.
address, those deeper problems that might need medical attention? I don't know if you're a psychologist or trained
Mhm.
in that
Mhm.
kind of way or
Mhm.
what you do, but how do you notice if, and the part of the reason I'm asking this is we do informal mentoring all the time with our friends and family. Like anytime we have a conversation with somebody, we're having an impact on them and their mindset in some way. And so for anyone who's listening who, might have a friend who's struggling in a way that they feel like, they can't help them get out of, right? And they might need some medical help. Like, how do they go about that tactfully? How do they handle that? It just seems like such a delicate situation. And so I
Mhm.
imagine you've had some experience managing that. And so if you could just share a little bit of what you've learned from that experience.
Mhm. Well, in my line of work, most of the people who come for bar exam mentoring, if they have something that needs to be addressed by a licensed psychologist or a psychiatrist, usually already know it, and usually they're already getting help on that end. But they also know that the mental health counseling on the medical side is very different from coaching and mentoring, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so they're two different camps. And a lot of times clients will have both at the same time. Now, I'm not a licensed medical professional or mental health counselor, but I was trained, by a licensed PhD and counselor. And so to that extent, I learned always to tell my clients or potential clients that there are two different things. The mindset mentoring is not, the counseling or the medical, realm that you think of when you think about a therapist. It's not therapy. It's like coaching. It's not trying to fix something that's broken. It's trying to help you uncover the gunk and get down to who you really are, which is already whole and already fine, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you do run into somebody who's dealing with problems that are more than you know how to help them with, or if you try to help them and they just can't get past it, then they just might have a really deep-seated mindset issue. Or you might want to say to them, hey, listen, the school that we graduated from has, this resource. A lot of schools now have
Well, in
brought
states
on.
too, in state bars too, right?
Mhm,
More and
mhm,
more, at least I know in Utah where I practice, right? And it
mhm,
sounds like in
mhm.
Florida, they might have some similar resources. And
Yes.
so, and I think it's good to just always emphasize, right, that there's no
Mhm.
shame in that
Right,
kind of thing, right?
right,
Like
right,
you wouldn't hesitate to go to the doctor if you have a broken leg.
right,
And,
right.
if there's something, it's too bad that there can be a stigma about mental
Mhm,
health type
mhm,
issues,
mhm, mhm.
right?
The
And
thing is,
so,
a lot more people deal with that than you would know,
oh,
right? You
absolutely.
really don't know. And the fact is that, unfortunately, if people did not have mental health issues coming into the field, after a few years in it, they often get them, right?
Yeah.
So we need to be proactive, the same way you go for your annual checkup just because, right?
Sure.
Proactive in just making a mental assessment of how am I doing, right? It's necessary. If you catch it sooner, then it's less of an issue, right?
Right.
But the longer we insist that I can handle it, right, and we insist on doing it alone, then the more likely it'll affect our career, our license, and things like that. So your brain is a part of your body, just like any other part of your body, right? And just like we can ignore the flu and decide to tough it through, and I'm not going to take any medications because I'm tough and I'm strong, some people do the same thing with, mental conditions, brain conditions.
Yeah.
So I mean, just treat it like any part of your body. And if you think you might need that, start at the easiest rung of the ladder, which is, I'm sure your school has a counselor, or I'm sure that the bar has counseling services available for students,
Yeah.
right? Start at the
Well, and take
easiest.
advantage of those free resources while they're available, right?
Exactly.
Or heavily subsidized anyway. But Jennifer, it's been a real pleasure chatting with you about mindset today. I'm really grateful that you took the time to chat with me. It's been wonderful, and I wish you luck in everything you're doing. And I really hope that you continue to bless, students' lives as they work through what can be such a crazy anxiety-inducing experience, the bar exam, tremble in fear, right? And so keep helping people with that. You're doing good stuff, and wish you well. So thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you so much, Adam. And I just want to help bar exam takers and law students if they want a daily practice that can help them to be mentally calm and stable. I do have a free study preparation visualization that they could use for 10 minutes a day to do the meditating. And that's
Great.
available for anybody who would like it.
Sure. Well, if you shoot me that link, I can put it in the description to this video.
Perfect.
And so we'll have it down there so folks can check that out. Well, thank you, Jennifer.
Good. All
Okay.
right. Thank you, Adam.
Bye.
Bye.